using the benchmade HK Entourage Auto Black Tonto version for 2 or 3 years now, and I figure a review late is better than never. After a few years, I want to talk about how it's held up, how it performs, the pluses and the minuses of this knife. Let me show you here. Recently, I thought that it actually broke, and it didn't. What happened was I needed to oil the hinge that it swivels on. It was moving so slow. It literally was like this, so slow, going like that. It would like stop, and then it would go a little bit, stop, go a little bit, and it's supposed to be full auto. Now, right from the beginning, this knife had always been slow. I don't know why I didn't realize this, but I never oiled it. It's probably because I have never had to oil a folding knife before. It was the first time I'd ever actually had to oil one. Been using folders my entire life, but I didn't have a ton of these switchblade style knives, so I didn't even cross my mind. And recently I picked up another knife. It was a flipper Tonto, which I will also give a review on here shortly. And I realized that I actually thought this broke, and I was like, wow, on the same day that I bought my new flipper, this knife has stopped working. But then it just crossed my mind, fuck, I'll try oiling it. I oiled it, and it's faster now on the draw than it ever was before. Ridiculously fast. But the flipper I can still draw at the same rate. Now, a few things. I really love the machined aluminum scale handles on this. Really nice. I really love that it's H&K, one of my favorite gun manufacturers. And benchmade is good quality products. Everyone knows this. I love Tonto point knives, in my opinion, and I think anyone could easily prove this, that geometrically, the physics of them, they're the strongest point. And usually that is because they maintain the thickness of the blade closest to the very tip of the knife, where the tip of the knife is the most likely spot to break. Now, on a downside, I don't like how they've thinned this up right here on the back. You want that spine as thick as possible. Also, this isn't a true Tonto. It's actually sort of a clip point version of a Tonto. You can see the grind there and how it's ground down. This Tonto should go up a little bit more, and this should be basically flat, right? An original Tonto style knife, a sword and whatnot, they curve upwards and not down, right? Also, if you look this knife up on the website, it says that it is a flat grind, that this has a flat grind. And I really wish that it did. It does not, in fact, have a flat grind. A flat grind, I mean, when you look at it, even on the website, you can see a secondary bevel on the end here. A flat grind would not have that secondary bevel. It would be one bevel here, all the way down to the very tip. Instead, there's a secondary bevel there, which makes it more difficult to sharpen. A flat grind knife is one of the easiest to sharpen blade edges. Now, I've been carrying this knife for probably 3 years in my pocket, and you can see the wear on it. Like, it's wore right through the coating, which in my opinion only makes it just look that much better. I really love that it has jimping here on the back and on the front where you most need it, because the last thing you ever want to do is when you stab into something, have your knife slip back and have your hand slip up forward onto the blade. That is what you don't want to happen. And I think all that jimping there on the top part especially will really prevent that. Now, there's some jimping on the back here too, which is nice because if you have large hands like I do, your hand will straight up go right over that jimping as well. So, in my opinion, any grip is a good thing, because last thing you want to do is when you need it, you cut yourself and injure yourself as bad as whatever else is trying to injure you. I like that it has a lanyard hole. The pocket clip, after 3 years of use, still has tons of tension on it, and in my opinion, the best. I think I like to have a pocket clip on pretty much everything. And there's two big factors that I look for. Number one is that it has a lot of tension downwards on this clip so that when you put it on a pocket, it holds nice and tight. And this lip right here, where it accepts the pocket edge to be able to put it on, needs to be rather large so that you can get it on easily. So, because it's always easy to get it off of your pants pocket, no matter how tight it is. But it's not always easy to put on. You don't want to have to like pull this up and then shove it down. You don't want to do that. You just want it to be able to catch right there, and then you just slide it right on. And this one does a pretty decent job at that. I really love this switchblade style. They used to call it assisted, but let's be honest, it's a switchblade. And there's only one downside. You know, they included a safety here, and in my estimation, or in my opinion, the reason that they did that is because this button gets hit pretty easily when it's in your pocket, at least twice. See, I don't like safeties because if say somebody has a knife drawn on you, and you are already at a disadvantage, they have initiative on you, and if you have to pull the knife out, there's one draw, and they already have it drawn on you because you're not even allowed to pull a knife on somebody legally unless your life is in danger, which means they already have initiative on you. So then you draw it out of your pocket, one draw, you take off the safety, two draws, you flip it, three draws, and now you're equal with them. Meanwhile, you just got stabbed in the heart 3 times, right? Yeah. So that's why I don't like safeties. However, you actually need this safety. You need it to be on because twice I've had it open. I've reached into my pocket because I felt something scratching my leg. I was like, what the fuck? Thankfully, it didn't just go slicing right into my leg. But I reached into my pocket and I cut myself twice. Right on the end of my thumb. You know, like split right down the fucking middle. Twice. Really sucked. You know, I hate that I have to keep this on. That sucks for me, man, because, you know, and that's why lately I prefer flippers. Because I don't see where else you could put this button that it would still be effective and useful. And also, not have a safety. You know, it's like, you could put it on the back here, but then that would be really weird if you're hitting the button back here, right? But that would, I think, in my opinion, prevent it from getting triggered, right? But, so, you know, you want it to be quick without a safety, ideally. You know, I paid over $200 for this knife at the gun store. I see now that you can get them online for like $160, I think it is, and $142.50 on just the first place that I found that even had these. And so it looks like they've dropped over the few years, but also I know the gun store charges extra. But I had never even thought to look up this knife anywhere before. So good news is it's dropped in price. Bad news is that if you're looking for like a, you know, if you're having it for all purpose, one of the things you might not want to purpose this for is combat, because you're going to have to take that fucking safety off and you're going to be at a disadvantage. And I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, I have flippers that are as fast to draw and take less time and have no safeties. You don't need them because a flipper isn't going to flip out by itself. And I think that's important. You can see the blade actually has a little bit of wear and tear on it too. And even though I don't really use it for any hard use, as a matter of fact, I've tried to save the edge for, you know, just in case combat situation. But recently I've repurposed this to the all-purpose knife and my new Tonto flipper to the combat knife slot for the most part, just because of that. I do like that it's nice and sleek and small, and I think that's a great thing. All in all, I would say I would give this knife somewhere about an 8 out of 10 in terms of, you know, everything included. Its durability, its price, everything. I think the price could be a little bit better, especially nowadays. This doesn't seem like a $150 knife to me anymore, because I feel like the market has moved so far that it just doesn't quite, like the new flipper I bought, for instance, which I will do a review on. I wasn't going to, but I guess I'll go ahead and show it because I'm really into it, into the conversation here. But look, they both same amount of time to flip them out. But this new flipper, it's a true Tonto. It's still not flat grind, which I have a really hard time. A lot of times will change the blade profile, but you can see the blade is just slightly bigger. It's a true Tonto, which is going to be stronger, and they didn't They took away a little bit of the upper thickness, but they left most of it, and all the way to the tip too. You can see there, almost all the way to the tip, it remains at its thickest. Whereas this one, they narrow it right before, and then they make it thicker and then thinner again. So I'm not as big of a fan of that. But this knife here costs $60, and it's only like 45 on Amazon, and it's basically the same thing. I mean, you know, aluminum scale on one side, I think, stainless stone wash on the other side, Tanto style. It's made also by Ruger, which is another gun company. Like this is HK and Benchmark. This is Ruger and CRKT. This one has, you can move the clip, which I did, in 4 different positions. You can see here, here, turn on the other side, here, and here. You can move this clip wherever you want it. And this knife here, to put it away, you basically need 2 hands, you see? This knife here, 1 hand, put it away. 1 hand to draw. It's actually, I don't see, with this invention of the flipper style knife, which has been around for a long time, but recently really picked up popularity, I no longer see a reason to have a switchblade, to have an assisted blade. When people ask me what type of knife to get, I used to say, well, get yourself a switchblade style. But I've recently amended that, and now I think that a flipper style is the best, because not only is it just as fast, but you can put it away with 1 hand just as easy, and you actually get a bigger blade, you know. And check it, this has jimping on it on the top, and that flipper thing becomes a nice little hilt for you to keep your hand from sliding up. And this little hilt here is better than jimping, you know. And if I wanted to, I could jimp that, and I have actually considered it. I might go ahead and put some jimping on the back of there. I mod a lot of my knives, and I like this, that it has a little glass breaker here on the back. Still got a lanyard hole. All in all, I think this is a great knife, but I think $150 or the $220 I paid for it was way too much. I think it should be around $100 at the most. I don't see any reason that it should be more cost than that, especially when you're actually, you know, like a $60 knife here, in my opinion, is a bigger, better knife than this benchmade H&K Entourage. So I think that if you're in the market for a good fast knife, get the flipper and not the auto. So yeah, my review is that of this, and I'm actually steering away from buyers to this CRKT Ruger. It's on Amazon for like $45. Thicker blade, longer blade, an actual Tanto versus a clip, sort of a clip point stylized one. This thing is razor sharp, and anything with a skull crusher or glass breaker gives it another, you know, it's another end that you could do damage with. You ain't gonna do no damage with the back of this knife, especially when like I said earlier, your hand goes right over the end, so you're just hammer fisting them at that point, right? And that is my review of the benchmade H&K Entourage. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe. Peace.